man, what a delightful song to start off the live stream when we're talking about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Oh man, I was trying to find a perfect song to what do you call that when you serenade someone. I was trying to find the perfect Scott Faughn serenade song, and I believe that was it. I think I nailed it. But anyway, let me start the recording, and then we will, go right into the Freedom Talk, and maybe doing a little SmackDown tonight, because after the week's events, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit irritated. But I'll rant later, start recording now.
In the restaurant of life, we're putting freedom back on the menu. It's the Missouri Liberty Report with John Williams, working with grassroots organizations and legislatures to make Missouri the freest state in the nation. Let freedom ring.
And welcome back to another edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. However you get this on YouTube, Rumble, KEYK, MOLibertyRadio.us, or any of your podcasting apps. Again, thanks so much for your support. Before I start, because I have a tendency to forget sometimes by the end of the show because I'm worn out from the work week and everything else. So before I start the show, let me remind you of a few networks or live streams or podcasts that you should most definitely check out. All right. Instead of doing it at the end roll, let's do a beginning roll. Credits to all the great folks out there. Okay, so we've got Sam and Trish Britton with MOLibertyRadio.us. And on Sunday nights from 6 to 9 p.m. Central, you can hear Sam and Trish on their show Off the Cuff. You will always learn something from Sam and Trish. Then we've got Patrick Holland and the Missouri Freedom Initiative live stream on Odyssey at 7:30 Saturday evenings, and you can get updates on Missouri politics. Speaking of Missouri politics and money, then you've got to check out Catherine and Kirby's podcast, and you can see them on YouTube as well, Rogue Politics. Now, Catherine and Kirby uncovered a story which got someone else talking that got my blood pressure up a little bit. I had a whole show planned, and then once I really thought about it, I thought, I can't let this, Catherine and Kirby have talked about it a little bit. I know Patrick talked about it. You don't want to get that feeling like you're beating a dead horse, but I just couldn't let this slide. Speaking of that, one more announcement, because next week I have Will Scharf on with me. The 20th will be Representative Holly Jones, and I want to get this gal's name right because I watched a documentary on the drug war. It's an older one from Reason, but it was a good one. And I found this group. They named this group. It is Moms United Against the Drug War. So a gal by the name of Gretchen Bergman will be joining me on the 27th to talk about her organization as a group of moms who are fighting back against the war on drugs. And I cannot wait to interview her and learn more about her organization. So that's coming out October 27th. But make sure, if I forgot to mention KEYK, KeyRadio.live, make sure they've got a lot of different programs on that network as well. Make sure you show everyone that I've just talked about here some love, because they're showing me some love. And in return, let's show them some love. Let's show them some support. And let's spread the word about all of them so that we can continue doing what we have been doing. And hopefully we'll continue to do for years to come. And that we don't become like Canada, who apparently just, made a new rule that says, hey, if you're a streaming service, that you have to register your streaming service, and therefore, everybody that you carry on your streaming service will be listed, and it has to be on what their equivalent is to our FCC on their website. So, they want to make sure you're abiding by standards. Yeah, it's suppression of freedom of speech, which Canada is really good at to begin with, So nothing really new from them. Now, I've got some audio to play. Now, I have been told by people, they say, "Oh, John, you could be better than Scott Faughn. You could have a bigger audience and all these things." And I that's nice of them to say. It's very kind. And let me bare my soul to you a little bit before I get started, because I want people to understand where I'm coming from at times. I think sometimes I'm kind of like, I feel like sometimes people think I'm giving a cold shoulder or I'm standoffish or whatever. Let me just put it out there like this. I was telling my friend Trish about this the other night. In my younger days, in my younger age, I was a jerk, okay? I was a jerk to a lot of people. I was arrogant, I was cocky. I just didn't care, okay? And I was just a real jerk to a lot of people that I should have been really nice to. In essence, we'll just make a long story short there, okay? And so in order to keep my ego in check and not become arrogant, get a big head and think I'm better than everybody else around me, I've worked to keep those things in check. I'm working to try to be a much nicer person and to not be such an a-hole all the time, okay? And I've been working really hard on it. And then I get people who want to, talk me up. And now it makes me really freaking uncomfortable because I'm trying not to be egotistical. I'm trying not to get a big head. I'm trying not to act and talk like I'm better than everybody else around me. So while I appreciate the kind words, I mostly tell people, please don't. There's a reason behind it, because I don't want to go back to acting the way I used to act when I was younger. I'm trying to, correct that whole mode of living. So with that being said, Dean Plocher's been in the news, and the FBI is investigating him for this Fireside software, this constituent management software that he was trying to push through, $800,000 contract for 2 years when there have been no complaints about the system that was in place now, and not to mention that hardly anybody uses to begin with. And, so that's been discussed. I talked about last week. Patrick Hollins talked about it. Catherine and Kirby have talked about it. Catherine and Kirby should get a lot of kudos because they're the ones who really broke this Fireside thing open. Okay? So all of that, right? Now enter Scott Faughn from the Missouri Times and his show This Week in Missouri Politics, which can be seen on YouTube. But if you don't like RINOS and you don't like it seems like the elbow rubbing with the big shots who don't care about you and your liberty, if you do watch it, don't eat anything beforehand, because then you'll just waste that food because you'll throw it back up. Okay? I'm just being honest, folks. I have watched it. I still watch it once in a while just to see what topics he brings up. But he is really, 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 he loves RINOS. And so I spontaneously today on the way home from work, because I was by myself, I didn't have anybody to talk to, so my brain, as it so often does, wanders off into weird places. And I thought, well, we'll just say from now on when Scott Faughn interviews people like Plocher or Kehoe or Lincoln Huff or any of these two-bit tyrants or wannabe tyrants or whatever, that we are now going to say that Scott fawns. He's fawning over Plocher. He's fawning over, Huff. Or he's fawning over Kehoe or whoever else. Any rhino that he has on his show where he just, pitches softball questions at him. Even though something like this is going on right now. And he just wants to pretend like it's some, dark money conspiracy from liberals. He doesn't even want to fathom that maybe something else is going on here. And we don't know, but there's a possibility, right? Concerns were raised by people at the Capitol. So, yes, from now on, when Scott has somebody on, we will say he's fawning over them, but we will spell it like his last name, which is why I titled my show, Scott is Fawning Over Dean Plocher. And it is, well, you know. You can pick up what I'm putting down. You can smell what I'm barbecuing. So I'm going to play this audio from his show. Thanks to Kirby Lane for messaging me the exact audio from the show, or the link to the show, so I could patch it through and play it. So, folks, a lot of times I know we focus on, we have a tendency to focus on mainstream media because mainstream media are the worst for lying or covering up for their side of the political aisle, right? They're really great at doing these things. So, we're used to that. What we have to keep in mind is that sometimes media, just like This Week in Missouri Politics, are capable of the same exact behavior. Same exact thing. Because I think this guy depends on being able to rub elbows with these people to carve out a living. I can't think. Listen, to get on, and he's like, I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative. Yeah, he loves to spout how he's a conservative. But then the way he talks about issues, it's like, I don't think you understand what being a real conservative is. He's like conservative light, like only 10 calories, not quite conservative. Jonathan Ashley says his pillows have a print of Lincoln Huff's face, and he has signed pictures of Plocher all in every room of his house. That's funny because somehow, I don't know. Catherine says Faughn somehow contributed to Austin Peterson's new studio. Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. But anyway, we have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what I say. If my voice doesn't kill your eardrums. You have to correct me when I'm wrong. I don't want to come on here like what I say is end all be all. And if you don't believe me, then you go find another show to watch. I'm just giving you my opinion and what I've gleaned from information. And then what I want you to do is take that information and investigate for yourself and see if you come up with the same, in theory, or if you think it's something else. And that's fine, because we're all human beings. We all have our own thoughts. That's the way it should be. What we should not be doing is kowtowing to wannabe tyrants or people who are only their only obsession is the next step up the political ladder and trying to get a lot of kickbacks for themselves to run a campaign on. And then we also must be guarded against those, I guess if you want to call it media, excuse me, that who will trip all over themselves to protect said people. Oh, man. So, with that being said, I'm going to pull up my screen here. And Oh, that is not. What did I do here, Billy Bob? Where's it at? Hello. Display capture. Oh, because I don't have it set, you moron. Let me see if I can set this real quick. You know what? Never mind. I'll just play the audio. I forgot. I got different monitors, and I forgot to go into the properties and set what the other display is that I would want to capture. Let me just play this audio, and we'll listen to Scott Faughn fawning over Plocher. You'll hear it literally within the next 2 minutes. You're going to hear him fawning over Dean Plocher, and then we'll discuss it when he's done vomiting up his weirdness. And hopefully the levels aren't extremely high here. Let's start it out.
This story that was in the Independent. Let's just start off the top. I got the first two questions were dog the Independent. Don't dog the Independent. I don't get your point there, right? I mean, I'll give you my perspective. These are journalists. The people that work at the Independent are very, very liberal. They wrote a very liberal point of view for the news, for the Star, the Columbia Tribune. They're very caustic to people that are conservative. And that's what, that's kind of how they've built their brand, right? Most journalists, here's just the true, the bare bones. Most journalists are more creative types. They are more liberal, Democrats, whatever you want to call it. Most Republicans, most engineers are more logic-based and less artistic. And therefore, it's not a coincidence. They're more Republican, just the way it goes. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. If you ever have had a survey of college professors and journalists, they're liberal. If you ever do a survey of engineers, or what's another group that's maybe not the most artistic, Kelton?
I don't know, construction workers?
Construction guys would be, go ask. Even the labor guys now, they like them some Trump, the Republican. So the Independent's a group that's a lot of liberal national groups. If you look at like Crystal Quaid, the money she's raising to run for governor is generally from Washington, from Boca Raton, Florida, from San Francisco. Democrat Party is it's like they would run the government, highly centralized in the coast in Washington. They filter the money down. And one of the things that the liberal interest groups do to help their candidates is fund groups like State House News, and which is the people that pay for the Independent. It's SEIU. It's a lot of very elite liberal donors, and they want content put out that fits their worldview. It fits their worldview on transgenders or lesbian, gay rights or abortion rights, or they want gun control. I mean, the general things a liberal would do. Now, you might say, well, that's wrong. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Are they a little sanctimonious? Because it is a dark money group. You don't really know who all funds them. They do their best to conceal it. They don't list all their donors. It is what it is. But I kind of don't. Here's the difference. Your average journalist does not lie. They do not make up facts that are untrue. Take Rudy Keller, very liberal journalist, but he's got a lot of institutional knowledge about the state. I find him to be a pretty good writer personally. But I've enjoyed many Rudy Keller stories. Rudy is very liberal and very much has a chip on his shoulder if you're a Republican. But the truth is, I don't know that he just makes up quotes. I don't think he does, honestly. I think he gives you a liberal version of the events. But they are the events. Their truth is real. There is real life that is truth. There's real life that's not true. And that's what they give you. So complain about the Independent, whatever. That screwball press corps thing is so stupid. There was a group that did this. Republicans did the same thing as the Independent once. It was called the Missouri News Horizon. And those liberals in that press corps ran those, just harassed them. Like with me, they had a vote to not have me. I would have voted yes. I didn't want to be with them. It is the funniest thing. Now on all their websites, they have like sponsored content. You can pay the Post Dispatch to give you a puff interview. It is what it is. It's the state of journalism. It's not like they're doing something far more egregious than other struggling urban papers. But the Independent is what it is. It's a way to produce content from a Democrat Party view. But I don't believe they lie. I don't believe they make stuff up. This is just their view. So to them, when you have a rising star, which Dean Plocher is, I mean, Dean Plocher's 50. He looks like, if I told you Dean Plocher was 38, you'd be like, good looking guy, right? Would you guess Dean Plocher's over 50 ever?
He certainly doesn't look over 50.
No. got a great smile, can raise money. Um, just the kind of thing they're here to do, to tear this guy down. And again, I actually think, I mean, most journalists' real bias is toward news or screwing somebody over, taking them out. I think if they had a chance to run this story, it would look different. It's like when the Post-Dispatch runs a story about Andrew Bailey, right? They always put this picture of him going, yeah. It's beyond funny. It's it's the real way you show bias, right? Is that kind of stuff. Was it? I don't read a lot of the stories they write about him. I could pretty well. You tell me the piece of news, I can tell you what's in that story before they write it, and they can too. Dave Portnoy. If you want to know what to do about this, if you're in office, Dave Portnoy. The Washington Post is going to write a hit piece on him. Somehow, I guess they hate him because he interviewed Trump. Is that why they hate him?
I don't even know who that is.
Barstool Sports.
Oh no, I don't watch them.
You never heard of Barstool Sports?
I heard of him. I just don't.
Yeah, the guy that eats the pizza, one bite, everybody knows the rules. That guy. He calls up he kind of did what I did to Suntrip. This person's calling all over town, emailing his sponsors, saying misogynist quotes or something, or whatever it is, or whatever the hit of the isms he's done that he is now because he's not a liberal. God, if you're not a liberal anymore, you're like 8 isms automatically, right? I mean, it's just beyond stupid. So Portnoy calls the reporter up and just puts him on blast. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me get my ducks in a row and talk to him. He's like, well, let's talk now. And he's like straight up. He said, by the way, I'm recording you, which is, I will say this, Dave. I'm disappointed that you did that. When I called Suntrip, I live streamed it. Because if Suntrip would have got the jump on me, right, and embarrassed me, there you go. That's the breaks, kid. Shooters got to shoot. I've been taken down before. But if you record it, then you don't play it if it's not a resounding win. I kind of is a little cowardly, right? I mean, Kelton, if I'm going to put you on blast, I think a live stream, that way, if I look bad, right?
You just got to do it live.
You got to have balls and bring heat. So, anyway, Portnoy, that's what Dean Plocher should have done here, really. Instead, he got bad advice, and he kind of tried to do the Republican thing where he thinks he could explain the story. Big mistake. This story was written before they talked to Dean. No value to Dean talk. Let me just help you out. No value in talking to the reporter on that. This story was all done, the whole 9 yards. None of it mattered. Your quiz quotes were worthless. They just made the story more valuable. So that's where you should write down your first point is, if you're not smart enough knowing it's a hit piece, problems, you need better staff. And if there's a hit piece written, don't talk to them. Make your own statement. Like that, I just don't understand. So going through here, I'll tell you what happened. Dana Rodman Miller. Right now, I knew her. Dana Rodman Miller was one of the funnest, coolest people to ever be around. She just is one of the people that just got it. She knew her stuff. I don't know her as well now. I just always been a big fan of hers. I've just always thought whatever she was working on usually is done competently. So here's the thing. The Speaker of the House wanted a new constituent contact program. If you're in sales, you probably have some way to manage your sales contacts, right? Well, it's essentially if you call up and say, I need Medicaid and I'm pissed, or I need a pothole fixed on Interstate, 55, call your state rep, they get on it. They have some system now. It's free. Now, this system was going to cost a little bit of money, maybe even, I guess per member, it was going to cost like $3,000 or something. So that does become a little bit of money, or a good chunk of money. Dean wanted to look into this. Now, here's the thing. This is where the story is funny. What in the world would be wrong with the head of the House wanting a better contact management program? Help me out, Kelton.
I think it would be helpful.
On its face, and if he's watching, you should say, you're damn right. I want better constituent service contacts, right? The system they have, I guess, doesn't work as well as Dean would like for it to work.
Okay. Let's stop right there. Right? Because it's going to cost a little. $800,000 is not a little bit of money. Not even close. Now, compared to the budget of the state of Missouri, $800,000 compared to $53 billion, yeah, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the budget. But when we're talking about the way inflation is right now, every stinking thing, the cost has shot up. Everybody is feeling financial pressure, right? Almost everyone is feeling financial pressure, especially if you're middle or lower class. So to sit here and just pretend like, oh, just spending another $800,000, no big deal, you should be kicked in the groin for that. Not okay. Listen, when I first, and I didn't even get a chance to really sit and watch this whole thing. But when he's like, hey, if I told you Plocker's 38, you'd be like, oh, he's pretty good looking, got a great smile, raised a lot of... What on earth are you doing, bro? You're talking about puff pieces. This sounds like a puff piece. Does it not sound like a puff piece for Dean Plocher? Oh, sure, he's going to hand him a little advice. Don't talk to them. Yeah, you got your staff. You need better staff. What? What do you... What? I don't know. It just... I feel like I don't have it in the board. Maybe I will from now on. Jonathan Ashley said he's puffing on something. Yeah, it ain't weed because he wouldn't be that. He'd be smarter if he did that. Wilderness Gal, he's based in Jefferson City. But yeah, he's talking about a puff piece, and he's puffing up Plocher big time. And so, again, the very thing he's accusing someone else of doing, he's doing himself. He's acting just like government. You know how government does that? Whatever they're doing wrong, they accuse us of doing it, and then they continue to get away with it because they deflect. He's deflecting for Plocher because he doesn't like what he's hearing. Well, boo-hoo. Oh, Wilderness Gal. Sorry, he's on YouTube. I'm telling you, Wilderness Gal, don't eat before you watch a show. Or at least if you're going to do, put a drop cloth down so you can ease your vomit cleanup. Or as George Carlin said, an involuntary protein spill. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, he's really just tripping all over himself to cover for Plocher. Yeah, he is fawning, Faughning, over Plocher. Not the way we normally fawn. Fawn is Faughning. But this is the problem, folks. Even small little media outlets like this will... Man, the comments tonight in the live stream are just amazing. But it's this is why you have to watch them, because he's just trying to play it off. It's just a few bucks. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of money. Really? And here, folks, is the prime example of when someone says they're a conservative, which when you're a conservative, supposedly, now, I mean, maybe the whole thing's changed. Maybe I'm way off base. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure conservatives are supposed to be about spending less money in government, right? Pretty sure that's the way that's supposed to go. Spending less, taxing less. And not playing it off as, it's just a little bit of money. So, I'm going to keep playing this because I had to pause it there because, if it goes on too long, I might forget about, something I heard and I wanted to make a statement on it. We'll continue on, but wow. I know he advertises for, the Marriott Courtyard in Jeff City. Those two need to go get a room at the Marriott. Man, it's going to be really hard to get the rest of the show. Those two need to get a room at the Marriott Courtyard there in Jeff City and talk about how they're going to cover for each other. Whatever. Let me proceed before this gets any darker.
Does it work well? I don't know. I mean, have you called a state rep before and asked him to do something? I haven't. But maybe that's what we should do next week, Kelton. We should call my state representative, Cameron Parker, and leave her a message at her office and see how the current system.
Hold on, before we go on, because I'm sure he won't say this, and I want to mention it before I forget. One thing is, during the hearing on this, they asked the IT people if there were any complaints about the constituent management software that they use right now, and they were like, no. So let's put that in there right now before he goes on and starts flapping his gums and saying a bunch of nonsense. There have been no complaints about the software in place right now. So he's going to make it sound like it's no big deal, but it is a big deal if you have something that works. And again, the old adage, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, here you go. Continuing on.
System that's free. I usually have a theory about free stuff. It sucks. But we should call Cameron and tell her there is a pothole on the end of M Highway in West Butler County, and then just see how fast it takes to get back to me, right? But or who's your representative?
I think.
Okay, also, if you call and leave a message, their LA has to take the message, contact the rep, and do whatever else, too. It's not just, oh, you call, and then they go into the constituent management software, and bing, bang, boom. Idiot. So, yeah, he's misconstruing and manipulating every dang thing he can.
Kathy Steinhaus, my representative.
Oh, I like Kathy. Boy, she did good on the show, didn't she?
She was great.
I like Kathy. You could just tell some people are competent. Like when I first met her in the rotunda running, I was like, okay, this person just got it together, right? I don't even know her votes. I don't know her views, but she's got it together. So the first point of this was they make it look like it's really bad to want this program. Number one, I mean, even Flat Doug probably thinks it's the program constituent contact's a good thing, right? So the funny part is I do a little research on this. This program is made to look like this terrible group of people. What's it called here? Oh, damn it. Whatever it's called, focus contact or something, whatever. So it's a program though. So I look Fireside. So I look into this Fireside. Do you know who uses Fireside?
I have no idea.
The current winner every year of the Independent's Legislator of the Year, Cori Bush. I assume there's a bust. If the Independent has an office, I bet there's a bust of Cori Bush in it, right? She used.
What? So, because some loony liberal, I believe she's a senator. I can't remember if she's rep or senator. But since she uses it, it's A-okay. Listen, do you ever feel like sometimes something has happened? The magnetic poles have shifted, and you've been sucked into an alternate reality? Because that's how I feel right now. Anyway, I know I keep stopping, but this is so freaking cringy, right? It's so dumb. And the amount of mental gymnastics that this man is doing, no wonder he's beat red. He's jumping all over the place to make it seem like it's not a big deal. That guy, his face is beat red. So he's just mentally wearing himself down, trying to minimize all these things. And I'm waiting for his shirt to be all soaked in the armpits and just have to take a towel and dab his forehead because he's just jumping through so many hoops for the Plocher machine. Oh, wow.
Uses Fireside. You know who else uses Fireside?
Who?
My congressman, Jason Smith, uses Fireside. So if it's that damn bad, why would the socialist icon of the state and the man that represents everybody from farmers and flatlanders to hillbillies, Jason Smith, the people that get elected by the largest margins in the state. So it's not some bullshit program, right? You can make an argument they don't need it. I don't know. So I've known Dana for a long time. Always liked Dana. Always thought she was great. I'll tell you what this looks like. This is just my own white trash hillbilly opinion. Take it for what you will. I've not really known her as well as I did. I kind of knew her a little bit when I worked in the house, and just not well, but would be at the same functions. I've always known her to be really competent, helpful, but I don't know her as I just don't know her as well anymore. You know what I mean? Not anything, nothing happened. I don't run into Dana that often, and so it looks like these emails were written. I mean, listen, here's the truth. You can, whatever you want to say, and you're going to get people say, oh, I don't do this. Well, do you not? Everybody has 2 emails, right? In the government. You have your personal email, because you have to have a personal email, right? You can't be doing your banking or you're buying, like Kelton likes to buy shoes. You couldn't be out buying high-end sneakers if you worked in the house from his government account. That's just not cool. So he has his own email account. We all have one. And you have your government phone, you have your personal phone, and when people send stuff through their government email, and you're going to see, I'm sure there are the 2% that really don't send anything government through their personal email. But most people in government are a little Hillary Clinton-ish about this. It is that is the rule, not the exception. These emails that were sent feel like there's one of 2 things she was thinking. One, maybe she thought she had some issues with keeping her position. Now, I personally have seen Dean Plocher keep people on that was just damn shocking to me. I mean, I've seen him keep people on that do things in that office that I'm just like, if you don't get fired for that, there's just a no firing policy here, right? So I would never have thought Dana was in any danger of being replaced as clerk, whether she was pro this program or not. I honestly don't think there's anything I could even conceivably think she would do that would put her job in jeopardy. But here's the thing. I don't know what goes on in that office day to day. Neither do you. So maybe, but boy, it would just shock me on any level if Dana thought her job was in jeopardy. So the other reason you would do this is there's 3 reasons. One, you're playing Boy Scout, Girl Scout, all above the rules. Every possible government communication is put through my government phone that could be Sunshine and my government email. That could be it. And I'm not saying it's not, because I don't know. 2, she was laying out a case that she thought might get Sunshine and this might happen, therefore making it impossible to fire her. The reason I wonder about that is I mean, I'd never heard anybody really talk about that. So I don't really think, and Dana's not a dumb person on any level. So that would surprise me. Or 3, she was truly concerned there was something going on. So you put a digital trail down of kind of CYA. So if there's ever any issues that come from this, then, you can then say, look, I was saying this was a bad idea. I've raised concerns. That, it's probably a mix of 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a mix of all 3, right? You never know what goes through a person's mind. So Dean suggests using this, right? Dana comes out and says, that's not a good use of the money. I'm not for it. Well, Dana, like, I would be an expert on drinking Bud Light at High Street Pub, right? Kelton, can you think of a bigger expert about drinking Bud Light at High Street Pub than me?
No, certainly not.
Even if trans people drink it, I still drink it. I feel like if you want an opinion on the temperature of the Bud Light at High Street Pub, I'm a qualified man to ask, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I've worked hard for that designation. I've earned it, frankly. Well, Dana is an expert on what the House does, right? Like, I mean, I don't know what the House does, guns and abortion, but whatever happens as far as the paperwork moving around, she's a qualified expert. I'm sure her opinion did matter. It looked to me like, and then they said the FBI gets involved. Well, here's the thing. Anytime you call the FBI, they'll poke around if it's state government. If you get a government whistleblower, they'll usually poke around because, I mean, they have a whole public corruption office down the street here. It's what they do. The FBI is a strange thing. I don't have sources inside the FBI. I only observe it from afar, and it looks like if they're going to do something, they're going to take their time. They're not going to hurry for anybody, and I have no clue if there's an FBI investigation. And here's the dirty truth: you don't either. Nobody does. I doubt there is. I don't know what it would be. Then they try to throw Barget under. I'm like, no, wait a minute. So I was reading through here because I guess you could just tell Hancock's sources are not Barget people. There's different law firm or different lobbyist firm tribes in town, and the tribe that rats people out to the independent is not a Barget tribe member apparently. so they so here's the thing: they try to make any lobbying look bad, which is so funny to me because they're all touting their Missouri Press Association. Let me help you. Missouri Press Association awards are a group of liberals get in a room and they award liberals other liberal awards, and they all clap for each other. And then you have to make sure, oh, I haven't won an award in a year. Well, we better give one to this guy. Oh, these people, they wrote a LGBT story. Well, we got to make sure that's praised and lauded. The Press Association has like 8 lobbyists, all fighting. If you ever notice, it's kind of odd when you put quarters in a newspaper machine, you ain't got to pay tax. That's because of all those lobbyists. Actually, when you buy paper for newspaper print, you don't pay sales tax on it because lobbyists. It's a special interest tax cut. It just is. And look, I don't have a problem. You're gonna get tax cut. Good for you, man. But it is what it is. Let's not pretend like there's not lobbyists. So the weird part is they write about lobbyists like they're terrible when they have like 7 of them fighting for their special interest tax cuts. It is the most bullshit thing. I mean, I swear to God, these people should go back to Hearst and Plocher, which is what the Independent's doing. I predict you'll see somebody come up with a right. They kind of do. The Herzogs kind of have a right-wing website that does some stuff, not to this level, but it mostly talks about it. Just doesn't like schools, but it's kind of the same type thing, you know. So anyhow, they go in there and dog Barget, and they basically say Barget lobbied effectively for his client. Well, yeah, I mean, I would think if I know the Barget firm, this company probably cut them a legit check for their services because they're not cheap and they do a good job. So I mean, it was a total. The truth is, the Independent probably doesn't have a beef with Barget. It's just any lobbyist that could make, if they tie a lobbyist in, you can make the situation look a little worse. And clearly the sources, the Republican sources to the left-wing organization are not Barget people. They're some other Republican, which everybody in town's a Republican anymore, Kelton. So guess what? Nobody's really Republican because everybody's a damn Republican anymore. So except for Flat Doug. Doug is a Democrat. Flat Doug's a Democrat. So they had a hearing, and look, I think Dale Wright probably got caught flat-footed here. I don't think anybody should heap crap on Dale. Dale was the accounts chair, whatever. You know, when you say other staff, well, if Dana, here's the thing. The truth is Dana's very popular amongst the House staff, or feared. Because frankly, if you want, you know, there's some things she's in charge of the staff in a way. It's kind of a different setup. But I think generally most people like Dana of the LA group, the legislative assistant group. I think generally if you don't like her, you probably have to go to her for certain things. So there's a little bit of a she's the top person. So there's a little bit of respect / fear, which is sometimes the same thing. So if she voices something, they're going to be very predisposed to agree with her. And so I'm not sure you can go find House legislative assistants and ask them on the record about their boss and expect them to come out and say, well, I think the constituent service outreach sucks and this free program sucks and we should get a new one if she says we shouldn't. And there's a hierarchy in every office. So I guess what I'm saying here, end of the day, Dean Plogger's a nice guy, really nice guy.
At the end of the day, Dean Plogger's a really nice guy, and that's all that freaking matters, doesn't it? Is because Dean's a really nice guy. He could never, ever, 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 ever do anything wrong. Listen, I'm agitated enough with myself that I did not pre-screen this audio well enough to know that I go scrub 2 curse words out. Thanks. I mean, you know, it's his show. He can say what he wants, and it's my fault. But at the same time, you just made me have to do extra work, Faughn. But this fawning all over Plocher, he's a nice guy. Really? Listen. To take a good, liberty-loving piece of legislation and turn it over on the floor to Democrats for an hour and a half to say the most ridiculous things about gold and silver. And then like, and then turn around and say, oh, the Senate was having an emotional meltdown because they wouldn't pass any of his crap bills through the Senate. Oh, yeah, I'm sure, Mr. Faughn, that Mr. Plocher is indeed very, very kind to you because, you know, you lick his boots enough to keep them spotless. Or at least it appears that way. I don't know. I mean, I don't work in your studio. I don't sit there and as you, interview him, I don't sit there and keep an eye on you. Yeah, Catherine says, Plocher flipped us the middle finger regarding SB 100. Abso-freaking-lutely he did. And he's done it to a vaccination bill, we call Parents' Health Choice Bill. He and Rudy Veit demolished that bill on the floor of the House. We've watched him do this several times. So he can sit there and say that Dean Plocher is a nice guy. But me, I'm just not buying it at all. Because I've seen him in action on things that, not because Dean Plocher is a conservative, so I just believe him because I'm a conservative too. I mean, we're almost 20 minutes into this audio, and I feel like I've lost about 10 IQ points, and I can't really afford to lose many more. Honestly, it's just, God almighty. Again, folks, this is what I'm talking about. Anyone, me, anybody that does what just reporting information, and you have to listen and you have to be guarded against everyone. Anyone can be wrong. Scott Faughn is not making a mistake. Oopsie, I was wrong. No, Scott Faughn is playing CYA for Dean Plocher in this video. It's just my opinion. No, because I don't know if he's actually being investigated. And then, this gal, he's like, I used to, she was a great person and blah, blah, blah. And she's just playing CYA, because maybe down the road. Really? You think so? Is that what is this just all to cover her behind in case something in the future goes awry? That you're going to, God. Listen, my intent on this show is not really, I don't get behind this microphone and just pick a person I want to beat up on or just trash talk because I think they're not being intellectually honest or just honest in general. But we don't have time in this state to deal with the Plochers of the world. And we don't really have time to sit here and deal with the likes of the Scott Faughns of the world who will, just like the mainstream media, cover up for their buddies. Sorry, I had a sneeze building up there, and I just didn't want to sneeze on my mic. But we don't have time for this anymore. Yeah, Will and the Scout says, in my honest opinion, it's not, or in my humble opinion, it's not worth listening to liars. But, again, I get a little sick and tired after a while of people who don't want to preserve liberty, who don't want to protect it, who don't want to expand on it. I don't have time for those people. I'm tired of those people, and I don't have time for them. We have enough problems on our own without the media knowingly or maybe unwittingly covering for people because they're a nice guy or they're a nice gal, and there's just no way they would. Yeah, people have thought that for ages. It's just like the serial killers. And no, I'm not, trying to parallel Plocher to a serial killer, but I'm just saying, anytime somebody does something really bad And they talked to all the neighbors, and he's like, I don't know, seemed like a really nice, quiet guy. Didn't expect that. You hear it all the time. So to sit here and say, oh, he's a nice guy, I don't think he'd threaten anybody's job or try to shove things through. That's rich. And it's also a really dumb thing to say. Now, Scott Faughn is entitled to say whatever he wants. I would never say Scott Faughn should lose his show or Scott Faughn should do this. No. We live in America. We're supposed to have the freedom of speech, freedom of the press. He can say anything he wants. But also, there's a lot of people like me out here doing what we do where we have to call this out. Because we know it's utter horse manure. And whatever he's saying is horse manure, right? And so they have to be called out on it. Do I want to spend my time covering Scott Faughn and what he says on his show? No, I really don't. But things like this in a state where this fireside software has been connected to the WEF, and Plocher has been mentioned at times with ties to the WEF by other podcasts, other researchers. And so yeah, it's a little frightening that he wants to put this constituent management software in when there's absolutely nothing wrong with the other one, because there's no complaints on it, as was stated at the hearing. So Scotty Boy here, as he's fawning over RINOS, we have to put him in check. Now, here's the challenge to you, folks. If you go and you decide to check out This Week in Missouri Politics on YouTube, if you hear nonsense, I would say start dropping those complaints in the in the comment section. Call him out. Fill the comment section if you find what he's doing distasteful or dishonest, or you feel like he's a bootlicker or whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever your feelings are, I would say to make those comments. Because, if you start calling him out on this stuff, at some point he may feel that he needs to address it. Now, will he do it in typical fashion? Probably yes. But this is our way of shining light on this. If you go to, Voodoo Queen says, I comment frequently. I've commented on it. Now, he never responds to the comments. But if people go to view the videos and they see all these comments from liberty lovers, that may make an impact. Maybe I doubt he changes his stance, but you can have an effect on his show. And yeah, it might get him a little more traffic, but if people get in there, and just start commenting willy-nilly, it can have an effect. Now, there could be a thing where he just turns the comments off, which that always looks suspicious to me when somebody posts a video and won't allow comment. Boy, if you could make it to where he just turns the comments off, that would be really telling, especially when he's interviewing some of the folks that he does. That could be really, really telling of, that he's like, oops, and then everybody's like, hey, why'd you turn your comments off? So, I don't remember what this is. I don't know what. Okay, so this episode is from September 26th. And it's, he does he's got a show that airs on Sundays, I believe, and then he's got the midweek update. Now this one is from 9/26/23. So that way, if anybody wants to go in and comment in in this one, looks like September 26th of 2023. OKC Rich says he's turned off comments before I've had my comments hidden or removed. Interesting. But yeah, if he turns them off, he starts having to turn them off all the time. Again, that can have an impact. And it's not just Scott Faughn. It's any of these media commentators, whatever, when they're clearly playing cover up, or they just don't want to investigate, they want to be lazy or whatever, we have to call them out. The truth must win out. And I am not here to compete with Scott Faughn. I don't have any interest in that. I'm about as sharp as a bag of wet hair. He doesn't seem like he's that much more intelligent, and I don't want to have a battle of the midwits. So it's not what I want to do. I just want to get on here and push liberty-loving ideas, legislation, and promote people who are doing good things, right? All right, folks, for those of you in the KEYK audience, thanks so much for joining me this week. Again, the 13th, next week will be Will Sharp, who's running for Attorney General of Missouri. The 20th will be Representative Holly Jones, and then followed by, oh my God, I forgot her name, from Moms United Against the Drug War, Gretchen, from Moms United Against the Drug War. Make sure you tune in for those, and thank you very much. All right, continuing on. Looks like Wilderness Gal's going to go comment because she's looking for the episode on YouTube. Oh, man. Let me play a little bit more of this. Let's see what else he's got, up his sleeve. I'm sure it'll be really enlightening.
Maybe too nice. I maybe too nice. I notice he hasn't said anything to defend himself. I think if you're a Capitol person and you've read this, here's the thing: you got to get a hold of that staff. If he doesn't, the same eye rolls that were in the rotunda last year. It's a rough life when you're at the end of your term limits time. John Patterson, I bet you, was in a room somewhere making notes about what to do and not do, kind of keeping an eye on the situation. 3, I don't think Dana. It's not like I have every source in town. I don't think Dana's job was ever in jeopardy at all. I don't think it is now. Didn't think it was before. But there could be something going on that I don't know about. But probably not. Next, I think, Dean's going to need to come out and discuss this. But to me, it's a very simple thing. Like, number one, if you're going to give the independent quotes, you're going to do their sunshine request for free and all that, if they even do, which I think they do. You treat them like Parson does. That's what you want to, that's where you're at. That's kind of seems like, I don't know where Dean's at. I don't think anybody else does because he hasn't said anything. Come out and say what you mean. If that's what you mean, then sure. This story was written to make him look bad. It was very intentional. And there was a trail of crumbs laid by Dana's emails that clearly mean no favors for Dean Plocher. That's what it looks like to me. And then if they can drag in a lobbying firm, well, sure, why not? Not mentioning that the people that pick up their news have shitloads of lobbyists for their special interest tax cuts. But let's make anytime there's a lobbying firm sound real mean and spooky. And if you fall for that, you're either a left-winger that believes everything the Independent says, and you're probably just too stupid to watch this video. And I like plenty of left-wingers watch, and I appreciate left-wingers watching. I actually have sometimes I'm like, well, they make a lot of sense. But if you're the person that just needs to believe everything bad about a Republican, cool, whatever, but that's not real. So I think this was written to hurt him, probably did. I would say he's handled it poorly, but I don't know that he's handled it at all. Now I was busy yesterday, but and maybe somebody can send me something here that I'm not seeing, but I kind of don't think so. Um, where this goes into the how this affects lieutenant governor race, which is what I got. I don't know if it does. I mean, in a lieutenant governor race, one, he didn't do anything wrong that I could see. I mean, he thinks there should be a better constituent contact system. Dana thinks the one they have is fine, and this one would be too expensive. Those are natural things that happen in every office in the world. Kelton may see a camera. I want this new camera. It's going to be great. And I'm like, we don't have the money. And the other one works fine, damn it. And Kelton be like, no. It's real fuzzy on this angle. And I'm like, shit, dude, that's a lot of money. No, it's too much. And that's a conversation Kelton and I have had before. And I don't see the scandal in it. I do think the emails were salacious and good. If it was Dana, if number 2 was Dana's thought was I'll box them and they can't fire me. Very effective. And number 3, was there something going on here? And if it pops, I don't want to catch grief for it. Well, okay. I think that was, if that was a motivation, successfully done. I don't think she'll be fired. I didn't before, and I think the end of this will be a big thing and nothing. Holly Rader's a great politician, but I mean, she's going to be busy. It's not like anybody in Chillicothe who knows who she is. That costs a lot of money. So at a statewide race, you have to get your name out before you can really attack your opponent. And I just, we'll see. I think that if Dean doesn't handle this, my friend Bob Holden, some people would say was too nice to be in politics. And I'm not sure that tag's not going to start sticking on Dean if you're just, if there's not even a response, right? And he may be doing interview right now to respond. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. So that's kind of what that was the big thing that happened around the state. I thought it was very interesting story. I think this is just what happens, right? So the administration committee, I guess, voted no, not to buy it. Okay. I don't see, I see it as a story. I see Dana's emails as a very salacious piece, and I see somebody tipped him off to sunshine him. And this was a coordinated thing for sure. Now, how coordinated, nobody will probably ever know. But there's different tribes in this town, and one tribe is making a move on another tribe, and that's kind of what's happened here. Now, it just depends on the other tribe just going to sit back and do nothing, which that might be the move. I mean, if you're running statewide, maybe you just say, look, let the House run it, and I'm going to be campaigning in West Plains, and I'm busy. So there's a lot of factors. We'll see what happens. Mizzou, how about Mizzou again?
All right, so enough of that. He's going on to other stupid things. But, I mean, good God almighty. That's hard to listen to. That's really hard to listen to. And the thing is that Plocher hurt himself doing what he's been doing in the House. Now he's going to be hurt more. I think his run for lieutenant governor is going to suffer. I hope that he suffers the same fate as Dave Schatz when he tried to run for Senate, and after that gas tax, that he did horribly at the polls that night. I hope the same thing for Plocher. Yeah, Catherine, I'd be disappointed too that Rogue Politics didn't get any credit from Scott Faughn, because they broke it before the Independent did, yeah. And again, big kudos to Catherine and Kirby, because talk about a pair of bad women. I have to really watch my P's and Q's, because I certainly would not want Catherine and Kirby looking into me. I mean, I haven't really done anything wrong, but still, I wouldn't want Catherine and Kirby looking into me. I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to hide my office the rest of the time and never come outside. I will go off the grid. I will no longer be on the internet or anything else. But anyway, so yeah, again, I didn't really want to I don't come on here. This isn't every week. Oh, I'm gonna beat up on Scott Faughn or whatever. But this was too much for me to say. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you know. Again, I know like Catherine and Kirby have discussed it. Patrick's discussed it, and I know that. But I do. You know, people were happy that I was going to be covering it too. They've done the work. They've really put in the work. But I just, as somebody who does a weekly podcast, have covered, started covering a lot of Missouri politics. The whole fireside thing was very interesting to me. The ties to the WEF, and then Plocher, and then when Faughn mentions what I call the triple P of evil, Plocher's protege Patterson. I bet he's taking notes. He probably is. But I believe Patterson can be quite egotistical. Him and Plocher are pretty buddy. They've got a system down. I would not expect him to act a whole lot differently than Plocher has been acting since he's been Speaker of the House. So, yeah, I don't expect anything different out of Patterson than I do Plocher. That sucks for us here in Missouri. Yeah. Wilderness Gal says, be scared, John Williams. Catherine and Kirby are watching you. That is terrifying. Even though I haven't done anything wrong, those women are a little intimidating at times when they start pulling out all the facts. Bam! Anyway. All right, folks. That's all about I got. That's about all the time I've got. And thanks so much to, let's see who we got. We got John Doe, we got Gary Ride, we got Voodoo Queen, we got Catherine Dreher, we had Tom Martz, Jonathan Ashley, all of you in the live chat tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in as usual, and the comment section was extra Casey Rich, sorry, Casey Rich was in here as well. Yeah, the comment section was spicy again tonight, and I appreciate that, because I was having a heck of a time staying awake on the way home. I grabbed some food, got in my belly, and then it woke me up a little bit, but sometimes it's just like, and you guys really help keep me going, especially when I get into topics like this, man. The live chat was just streaming through. It's pretty funny. And but anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I appreciate all of you who either listen, download, watch, and I appreciate the networks who picked me up, KEYK and MOLibertyRadio.us, especially them, because they, again, gave me my first shot. And I appreciate Patrick and Catherine and Kirby who break this information and, get it out there, and it makes my job a little easier, because they're just out there breaking this stuff down, and, same with Sam and Trish. They tackle so many topics, and they've been at it so long, it makes my job easier, because I can just talk to them on topics, and they can just get me up to speed willy-nilly. So I'm thankful to a lot of people who either run my show, watch my show, listen to my show, or help educate me. I got a deep appreciation for all of those people. But with that being said, that'll do it this week for this edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. And again, next week is Will Scharf, running for State Attorney General here in Missouri, followed by Holly Jones, Representative Holly Jones, on the 20th, and on the 27th, Gretchen from Moms United Against the Drug War. All right, I gotta bring this comment up. Tom Martz says things that are just great. Tom says, I don't know why my wife has stayed married to me for 38 years. Next time I see her tied up in a basement, I'll have to ask her. That is a Tom. I really, really like that. That's good stuff. So anyway, thanks again, folks, so much for joining me. I appreciate your continued support, all your kind words, and we'll see you next week right here on the Missouri Liberty Report.
I'm at peace.
Wrong button.
Want more freedom? It starts with you. Join us next week on the Missouri Liberty Report and find out how you can get involved to take back your state.
All right, thanks again, folks, for joining in with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, as I always say, you keep the live chat lively. We ought to call it the lively chat here on this show, especially when we're talking about Plocher or Faughn or some of these other folks. We call it the lively chat. But don't forget, everybody, don't forget, when you talk about Scott Faughn, if he's interviewing a rhino, he is fawning over them. That's our new saying, and you can use it, take it, use it, whatever, wherever it applies. I didn't trademark that saying because, I'm not in it for the money. I'm just saying our new term is fawning over when he's interviewing these people and will not ask them a tough question at all. But anyway, thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And we'll see y'all right here, next Friday on the Missouri Liberty Report. If I could get the thing to work. Boy, I'm just batting 1,000 tonight, folks. What is going on here, Billy Bog Thornton? Hey, we got it.